morning, sir.
Good morning.
So can you give me a little intro about yourself, where you're born?
Sure.
And then we'll go from there.
All right, yeah. I was born in 1950, so that makes me just about 75 now. I was born in Los Angeles. Lived here, born and raised, lived here. Went to school in, let's see, what would that have been? My dad moved us out to La Puente, which is San Gabriel Valley, the east side of Los Angeles. And when it was a brand new community, went to the schools there, graduated from high school at El Rancho High School in Pico Rivera. And immediately out of high school, I went into the Marine Corps. So that was a given for me. I was just headed. I tried to get my dad to sign when I was 17 so I could get in and out earlier. He refused to sign because of the Vietnam War. And he said, even though he himself was Marine Corps, Second World War, stationed in the Pacific, he said to me that he would not sign for me because he didn't want to be responsible if something happened to me and I came back in a body bag and his signature was on there. So he said no. And I said, okay, well, I'll just do it when I turn 18. And on my birthday, I went down to the recruiter and signed up.
Can you explain the public sentiment during that time? Why was your father so against it when he was...
Yeah. Well, my father was not against the war per se. Just let me make a little comment on this in that hindsight is 20/20. Okay, so anything you ask politically, if you want me to tell you what it was like then as it was unfolding, would be a different story than now as we look back. So just want to put that little caveat out there. But my father was not against the war per se. He just didn't want to be responsible for me coming back in a body bag. And I understood that. We didn't have a fight about it. I said, Pop, I turn 18 in July, so I'm going to do it. And he says, you do it. He says, I'm okay with you doing it. I'm not going to do it. So when I turned 18, so it really wasn't a sentiment about the war itself, but it was rather his own personal conscience in signing that.
Now with all that, knowledge about the 30% and what was going on in the world, how were you guys feeling during the training? Were you guys, angry towards, the North Vietnamese? What was the mindset towards that situation?
That kind of mindset about the Vietnamese or anything really didn't come in until we started training for our MOS. During boot camp, it's pure survival. You don't think beyond the guy next to you, okay? It's pure survival. Whether you're running, you're going up a mountain, you're doing PT forever, it's pure survival. They have you totally focused right now. But once we got after graduation, then the focus shifted when we went to Camp Pendleton and started to train for our MOS and doing other kinds of things. And we started now focusing on the enemy. And then that's when you had a mindset, it's either us or them. We're here, and it's going to be either us or them. So you got to be faster, smarter, stronger, quicker. Everything had to depend on it.
So now at this point, you received your orders. Where were your orders to, and then how did that transition take place? And was there like a saying goodbye to family?
Yes, there was. Yeah, you had to leave. We got leave, so we got to say goodbye to our families. I had a girlfriend. By the way, my girlfriend's my wife today. So I got to say goodbye to my family, hang out with my friends, have some last parties and stuff like that, and then went back and to checked in. And then they, from Camp Hamilton, Main side, they put us all on buses, and they took us to El Toro. El Toro that was the Marine Corps Air Station. Okay, it doesn't exist anymore. I think there's a big housing unit in malls. But anyway, El Toro was there. So we all bused there, and we were in our utilities. That's what we called them back then. And they had TWA planes there, airlines, commercial airlines. And you know, the sergeants and everything else got us in there, lieutenants, and we were all in there, packed the plane, and there was the attendants, and you know, back then everybody smoked, so you know, we were all smoking on the plane, and then it takes off, which was my very first plane ride in my life. So my first plane ride was going to Vietnam, and so as we took off, it was just absolutely thrilling. I'm in the uniform. I've got all these guys around me, and we're going to Vietnam, you know, and it wasn't fear. There at least I didn't sense any fear. It was just kind of the adventure of war, and doing our duty, and there's a whole just all mixed together, you know. You felt like you were in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, kind of. And then we landed in Okinawa, and then they took us to barracks, and they did our final briefing and cultural training, as well as our, I think, last vaccinations, and then they got us our jungles, and we got, you know, different stuff now. No weapons yet. The weapons haven't been given to us yet. And they put us back on a TWA, you know, about a week. That took about a week to happen. And they put us back on a TWA Airlines. And again, they had what we called back then hostesses. They had attendants, okay? And, you know, you had these beautiful women who were hosting and Marines. It was wild, okay? So, but everybody was in. It was good natured, and there wasn't anybody that was, you know, thrown off the plane. But because you had sergeants, and you had everybody to keep us under control. We were animals, you know, just excited. Now we're going to Vietnam. We go to Vietnam. We're flying in the air. It's in the middle of the night. I don't know what time of night it is. It's in the middle of the night, and I remember, I'm new at this flying stuff, okay? So I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. It's all lit up in the cabin. And then all of a sudden, they tell us that we're going to be heading to Da Nang International Airport, wherever that's at, you know. And every light outside and inside goes out. They're yelling at us to put cigarettes out. Nobody light a match. And we're hurling through the sky in black. I'm thinking, is this right? This doesn't feel right, you know? Is this right? Now I'm getting a little scared because I don't know what the heck they're doing. And then the guy goes into a dive. He dives down. And I'm thinking, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. You know, we got to Okinawa. It wasn't like that. The lights are on and everybody's just, you know. But now it dives down, and now we're heading into Da Nang. We land in Da Nang. Everybody is pushing and shoving and getting out of there. So we got that plane cleared probably in under 5 minutes. And the guy took right off. I'm thinking, like, welcome to Vietnam. Dang, look at that. And then they took you, and they took you for the night. I don't think we ate anything that night. It was pretty late, and got us the next morning, and then they started to, again, it's this hurry up and wait. I think I was like a week into Da Nang, waiting for where I'm going to be exactly. And they're giving us our weapons now. And so we're carrying all this stuff, all the magazines. We're boots. We're green into Vietnam. And anybody who's there could tell that we just landed. Because we're wearing all of our stuff, and then finally they get us to the unit, you know. We finally got into unit. I was in a place called An Hoa, which is about 25 miles west of Da Nang in the Anhui province. And they finally got us to the secured area. You don't have, in Vietnam, we didn't have front lines. You know, it wasn't like the old wars where you have front lines and they battle across each other. That's not the way it was. It was guerrilla warfare. In other words, we had to play by the rules that they didn't, which really ticked us off. Okay, but we went to the secured area. We were in the secured area, and that's where we actually got connected with our platoon and who we are and what we are. And the first guy I met was a sergeant in our platoon, and he had these 2 bare stripes in his head. God, that was kind of weird. It must have been a birth defect or something like that. And he had just come back from NSA, the Naval Aid Station in Da Nang, because those 2 things were 50 caliber bullets that skinned his head. And Sergeant Wright, I'll never forget him, Sergeant Wright. And he looks at me. He's a big, muscular black guy, you know. And I'm a short little Mexican kid, you know. So, you know, and I'm looking at this guy, and he kind of takes me under his wing. And that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, how was the jungle? What was your experience when you seen that jungle? You seen, you know, the terrain and everything. Well, was that surreal to you?
Well, it was, because the jungle is what you see like in pictures. Okay, it's jungle. But what was not in the pictures, that it was 120 degrees, and you were profusely sweating the whole time. So you had to try to minimize that, keep yourself as cool as possible, drink your water in a regulated way so you don't run out of it, because we're out in the bush. We're not going to some security. We don't get choppered back and have lunch. That's not how it worked in the Marine Corps. You would go out 3 months at a time, and you go out with everything you got. Okay? And they would chopper into us food, they would drop water to us, and they would drop food to us, and mail, you know, which was pretty cool. Okay? But other than that, we're in the bush. We're all by ourselves. We're in our company or our platoon if we're going to be doing some kind of maneuver. And you create your own perimeter, you know, and you set up your claymores and you dig your holes, your foxholes, and you tell stories with the guys, and you know, we call chucking and jiving. You know, that's what we would do, and it was us. You know, so it was out there, and that's pretty much the way it was. I didn't expect that, especially the heat. Okay, but it was pretty amazing when I got there. It was all the jungle and everything else, but add the heat to it. Now you got 110, 150, 120 degrees, and then during the monsoons you have 110, 115, except now you got rain. It doesn't cool down. The rain doesn't cool anything down. It's monsoon.
So at that point, you felt that you didn't know what you guys were really doing there. You didn't know what the mission was. You were just out there.
Yeah. Our mission was called policing. But you can't shoot till you get shot at. And oftentimes that was a little too late. They were able, the Viet Cong and the NVA were able to set booby traps for us. Okay, that's what we called them back then. I think they're called improvised, you know, IEDs, yeah, improvised. But they're booby traps with you know, and you know, we were trained, don't walk on a road, walk on the side of the road, because everything we did was, you know, we humped. That's what we did, and we walk on the side of the road. And then they started getting a little smarter, and they started to booby trap the side of the roads. You know, and you would see people there 1 second and not there the next second.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, there was a particular one where we were on a patrol. We were doing a staggered column. Okay, in fact, one of the pictures will show what a staggered column looks like. We're in a staggered column. Everybody's got their stuff. Everybody's got their equipment. We're doing a patrol with all of our stuff. In other words, we're not just going out and coming back into a secured to a perimeter. We're actually moving out, and there's this road there, and we're walking on the side of the road. I'm about the third or fourth guy in. My lieutenant is across the other side. Next to him is the radio man, and behind him is the corpsman. Okay, and the rest of our platoon's there. Middle of rice paddies. Okay, and there's a tree line all the way around, and you feel so exposed. You know, the only thing that's going to save you at that point, if you get shot at, is going to be overwhelming force. Everybody opens up. You know. So we're there, and I remember but I don't remember if I had the tube or they made that obsolete while I was there, and they did light anti-armor weapons laws. Okay, I think I had laws, which are fiberglass with rounds in them. And I carried 7 of them, 3 on this side, 3 on this side. They were strapped over me, and one cocked open. And I had a .45 pistol. I'm 18 years old, man. You know, okay, that's a lot of stuff for an 18-year-old guy. And our lieutenant steps on a booby trap. And we're standing there, and he steps on this booby trap. The thing blows, and I'm from here to the corner, to that corner right there. I could hear the shrapnel just passing right by me. I mean, it was that clear. It's like, I turned and I see, and his body is tumbling in the air, at least maybe 20 feet in the air. He's flipping around. You know, now this is surreal. The radio man goes down. The corps man goes down. And his body hits. Instantly, I drop my stuff. I run over to the lieutenant. I'm the first one to reach the lieutenant. And when I get to the lieutenant, I see he is bad. He's really, really bad. He's got shrapnel all over him, and his legs are in this kind of contorted position, you know, just not natural, you know. That's not going to work, you know. And I'm there, and I get to him. Our radio man, if I get this correct, our radio man eye was blown out. So he's down on the ground, you know, wailing, okay? I'm on the lieutenant. Other guys begin to work on him. The corpsman, who we need, this is the guy with all the stuff. His shoulder is blasted off. He just doesn't have a shoulder anymore.
And all this is from the
booby
trap.
Yeah, the booby trap. What they do is they take our stuff that goes dud, you know, and they use it like this. We believe that this was either a 250-pound bomb, or at minimum was an 80 millimeter mortar, which is the bigger one, not the smaller one, that they got, and they set up the booby trap. And they usually do it with pressure, so that you step on something, okay, and once it lifts off, it's blown. And, you know, we're walking along the side, and there's trash, and they hid the button on that one, and the lieutenant stepped on it. It was chaotic. Everybody took position, where everybody's covering the tree line. Nobody's shooting at this point, because we don't know what to shoot at. It's a booby trap. This is one of those things. They don't have to play by the rules. We can't do that. We can't set booby traps. We could do ambushes, but we can't set booby traps according to Geneva Convention. So that's one of those things that frustrated us. I get to him. He is delirious. He's still alive, and as I'm there, I see that there's just blood is just squirting out from his legs. And so the only thing I know to do is do a tourniquet, you know. And so I get bandages. Everybody has to carry their own bandages, by the way. Plus you have to carry a smoke grenade, plus your regular grenades, you know. So we carry a lot of stuff. And there I get the bandages, I get them, and I tie it as tight as I could do, tighten it up, and try to stop the bleeding. Now, this is the chaos, you know, the fog of war. Okay? You're there, there's people yelling, screaming, moaning. It's bad. And we're out in the open, off of rice paddies. Tree lines are around us. And you're thinking, and then while all of this is happening, the point guy, our point man, was there with a Kit Carson scout. A Kit Carson scout was a guy who was with the NVA, got captured usually or surrendered, and came over to the ARVN side, the Army of Vietnam, the ARVN side. And they would then be assigned to us because they speak Vietnamese and they're familiar with the territory. He gets hit, but he's down on the ground and his body's flailing. We can't find a drop of blood on the guy. And we don't get it. You know, usually something happens like when I'm with a lieutenant. But this guy's flailing. They're trying to get somebody to get to him, but our corpsman's down. We have no one with medical expertise. The corpsman's down. And there's yelling and screaming. And the appointment, I remember Jimenez, he was yelling and screaming that the guy's down and he doesn't know why he's down. There's no blood, there's no hole, there's no nothing. And we come to find this out afterwards, okay? And the guy died right there. The Kit Carson died right there. And we finally found what was wrong. Shrapnel hit him in his throat, right here. And there was a hole, and he couldn't breathe, and he died. No blood. No blood. And that was like crazy. My lieutenant's dying here, okay? He's dying here. We already called medevac, you know, the CH-47s, our medevac choppers. They're out in some base somewhere in Da Nang, okay? We're way out in Quang Nam province. And, you know, we don't have a whole lot of air. There's no trucks. There's no cars. There's no anything. That's not what we did in the Marine Corps. You know, the only thing you get is a medevac chopper. We called for medevacs, and they said they were going to have a medevac out there in 30 minutes. Thinking, this guy's not going to last, this guy's not going to last 30. And some of the guys, I was actually tending to him. The guys that were standing around, a couple of corporals and stuff like that, would say, hey, Lieutenant, don't worry about it. You just broke your leg. It's no big thing. This guy's gasping for air. I know it's not broken legs, okay? And I'm thinking, okay, I guess that's what you tell guys, you know? So the lieutenant's just kind of looking up, looking at me. Here's the irony, is I thought this lieutenant never liked me, you know? And here I am tending to him, and he's looking at me. And you can see he's coming in and out. And so I'm taking care of him as much as I can. 45-minute passes. We still don't have a medevac out there. And now the gunny is on the line with another radio, and he is cursing and yelling at these guys to get out here. We got a guy who's still alive, but he's barely hanging on, and he's giving. And we're getting these ideas, and we started to actually talk about that. I bet you some of these pilots are probably drinking their last coffee or taking their last bite of dessert before they jump in this thing. Dude, they understand we're in a war. This is happening now, and we can't wait. We're grunts. That's all we are, And these guys are flyboys, So you start to get a little resentment over their luxuries, and what delayed them, why, that kind of thing. So I remember finally it was over an hour, and we started to do heart massage, okay, and mouth to mouth. And that was really scary. Then finally the chopper comes. I think the lieutenant's dead. He's completely pale. His lips are blue. His blood is coagulating. And we finally get a stretcher to get him. The chopper's there. And when we picked him up, his legs almost came off. And I picked up his legs, put him on the rack. And you think, man, for what? For what? And that's the way it was for us. They didn't play by the rules. We had to play by the rules. It was micromanaged war. It wasn't what Marines do. And we just felt helpless. And it's like, screw it, I'm just going to survive. I'm going to wait my time till I'm a 3-digit midget, then a 2-digit midget, then a 1-digit midget, and I'm out of here in the Freedom Bird and going back to the world.
And what was your guys' perspective on Ho Chi Minh and all that? Like, what was your internal dialogue like?
Well, it was, again, what frustrated us the most is they didn't play by the rules. We had to play by the rules. That's the way it was. The war was micromanaged.
So you guys thought you could wrap this thing up?
Oh,
quickly.
If you gave us 30 days, we could do this thing. If you want us to eradicate, now it's going to get a little hard, I mean, but we're not going to let this stuff get pulled on us, let us hit back. Let us hit back. It was just frustrating. And the lieutenants wanted to go, the captain, the COs, they wanted to go. They say, if they just let us go, just let us go. Let us do our thing. Tell us what you want, and we'll get it done Marine Corps style, And you just felt your hands were always handcuffed. They were always tied. And that was a frustrating thing is you realize you can't do anything about it. You said, well, I'm just going to do my time and get out of here. And so we started counting down our days. Like when you're a 3-digit midget, you're 100 plus days. 99 days and under, you're a 2-digit midget. Then when you hit 9 and you're a 1-digit midget, that means you're going to be out on the Freedom Bird going back to the country. Going back to the world. And you just waited your time, and that's all we did is just wait our time. After a while, you do your things, you do what you're told, but there is no real sense of purpose anymore, other than we keep each other alive, when we do each other good.
How did you feel when you found out that you were going home?
Oh man, I knew they tell you when you're going to go home, because your days are numbered. One of the things that kind of got us excited is that we were on this little hill. And all of us were gathered together, and we were listening to a transistor radio that was wrapped up with one of the big batteries. We were listening. I don't think it was the State of the Union, but it was a special speech that Nixon was doing. And we're all gathered around this little radio, smoking up and just going, what the heck's going to say? The commander-in-chief, what's he going to say? And he tells the public that he's going to start to draw down troops. And we're thinking, does that mean us? We're on the hill. Does that mean us? How are they going to draw it down? Well, so there was this kind of excitement, like maybe we're going to be headed home. There was this and the lieutenants and the captain trying to say, hey, don't get too excited, all right? They're politicians. It's like, don't get too excited. And finally, they did. They cut off, because a tour of duty is a solid 13 months. You don't go anywhere except for R&R. That's 2 weeks. But you're in the bush almost a solid 13 months, It's not like I don't know what the tours are today. I think they're much shorter, and then they get to re-enlist or whatever they do. But for us, it was 13 months, Richard Nixon reduced it to 12 months for everybody in the 1st Marine Division. But they took the new guys from the 3rd Marine Division, which was on the DMZ. They were on the DMZ. They took the new guys and sent them down to the 1st Marine Division. So we got an influx of new guys. They were 3rd Marine Division, we're 1st Marine Division. 3rd Marine Division, then the old guys were all shipped home, and we were covering the whole thing. And, so that was really exciting to get a month cut off of this thing. 30 days, I'll take it, But we had guys that were, either getting too sick, hospitalized, or dying, or wounded, in the most bizarre ways. And it was just, man, I hope some bullet doesn't have my name on it, Even to the last day, when I was out in the bush, even though it was a secured area, we were in a bunker, and it was myself and another guy. I have something like 24 hours left. And they put me on watch. It's like, dude, I got just 24 hours left. And they're going to ship me to Da Nang. And from Da Nang, I'm going to be flying out. And they put me on watch. I couldn't believe it. I was so angry. Anyway, I took some drug. It was called Moo Juice. Moo Juice is speed. And I'm saying, I am not going to close my eyes in 24. That is not going to happen. They put me on watch. I got Moo Juice. I downed the Moo Juice, which is like, it tastes like cough syrup. But it's speed. You just get wired up. There's no way you're going to go to sleep. I'm there and I'm wired up. And I'm so wired up that as I'm on this bunker, and this is on hindsight, a rat passes before me. A big rat. I think it's the top of somebody's head. They got through the wire and they're at my bunker. Okay? Which was not impossible. Okay? That had happened before. What we call sappers. Sappers can get through the wire. Nobody knows that they're doing it. And I thought I saw a head pass before me. I pick up my 16 and I'm saying, halt, who goes there? Halt, who goes there? And I'm looking at this and I'm holding down. I am shaking. Okay? I am shaking with fear. Halt, who goes there? Halt, who goes there? The guy who was sleeping, we were going one man up, one man down. The guy who was sleeping jumps out of bed and I turn on him. And I'm so wired up and I have my finger on the trigger. And I'm halfway between crying and yelling, halt, who are you? And the guy says, I'm with you, man, I'm with you. There's no call sign or anything. I'm with you, man. And I was after that, I kind of went blank for me. But I remember that moment just waiting for daybreak. Then I'm going to get my stuff, get on a chopper, get to Da Nang, get on the plane and get out of here. So that's the way it was for me.
So when you returned home, how was that when you got back? Because the way the public depicts it, and we kind of hear about when you guys returned home, that you guys weren't treated very well. Was that the case for you when you came back?
Generally speaking, no. That was not the case for me, but here's the reason why. Is because you were already told, don't wear your uniform in public. You know, you don't wear your uniform in public unless you're gonna get stuff from people. And I just accepted that. I said, okay, yeah, I get that. And so I never wore my uniform in public except for special occasions or a wedding or something like that. By this time, I'm a sergeant. I've been in the Corps. I'm 19 years old. I've been in the Corps something like, by the time I got back, like 18 months or whatever it was. I'm a sergeant. I'm the youngest sergeant in the battalion, 19 years old. And so I would have my stripes and everything else. But you didn't wear that. You really didn't talk about it unless people talked to you about it. You know, I remember, it wasn't that we didn't have a happy reunion, except with the ones that you love. But all your old friends and stuff like that, they were ambiguous about everything that you're doing. And I think out of courtesy, they said, how was it? And then I remember so clearly more than once, they would ask, I think out of courtesy, how was it? And then I would begin to tell them something, and I could tell they're not really interested. They're just being courteous. And so that was the biggest offense I got, is like, you have no clue what I just went through. You're asking, but I think you're just being courteous. It's not real. And so all I'd do is I would test myself. I would say, I would start in a story, then there'd be a disruption, and I would not bring it back up. And they wouldn't ask me to bring it back up. So I knew they were really interested, because I stopped the story midway. So it was no big deal. That's just the way it was. That's just the way it was. So I didn't get any hostility. Nobody was yelling at me or anything like that. I didn't get that part.
Now, do you feel like the events that happened over there changed you for the better or for the worse? In some cases, both.
Yeah, I think in some cases both. Having gone through all the stuff, boot camp and training, Vietnam, and the whole host of experience, and the brotherhood, and everything that we went through, I don't regret that at all. Not for a second. I don't regret it at all. It was an amazing life. Okay. I learned that I could do far more and go further than I ever could imagine. Whether that's humping 1 foot in front of another with all my gear going up a mountain, with a little bit of water. At one time we were actually licking leaves. We ran out of water, and the dew on the leaves, we were licking them in order to keep, and they were sending a chopper to us. So, I mean, the strain and everything you go through, you think about that. If I could do that, I could do whatever I want. And that really was ingrained in me. I could do whatever I want at that point. Now, the bad part was seeing that I had no guidance coming out of the Corps. I had no guidance coming out of the Corps. Then I got into drugs. I got heavy into drugs.
Yeah, that leads me right into this next question. I was wondering, was it difficult for you adjusting back into civilian life?
That's a yes and a no. I was so glad to be back. Didn't matter what I had to do. I was just so glad to be back. I missed my guys, but once you separated, there was never any real contact after that. And you just have memories of the guys that were with you. But going forward, we were already into weed. It was like unbroken. Then I became kind of a long-hair freaky dude, rode a motorcycle, played guitar, did stuff like that. And what I would say to those who are out there now, if you go in, it really depends on who's in charge, and I would say, find out who's in charge. You want to go in? That's one of the reasons, even though there's been a shift of administrations just recently, the recruitment has gone sky high because they believe in the guy that's there, the commander-in-chief. I can't believe in a commander-in-chief that is wishy-washy or half-steps or anything else, or thinks they have to micromanage everything. That's what you got military for. I'm not saying let them go wild. Don't micromanage them. And that, to me, gets people killed. And for that, I find that I'm very skeptical about my own government. So, there you have it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
All right.